Yo, what's up? What's up? Welcome to live. Welcome to What's Wrong with Welcome to Wild Left Religion with Coach Renz. This is our Tuesday edition of What's Wrong with the Bibles. We're at Numbers 10 and 11. If you're just now finding us for the first time, this is a deconstruction channel, and if a Christian deconstruction channel. And if you wanted to catch up, hear some of the other ones, go to the YouTube page. That is Wild Left Religion with Coach Renz, and you can see the playlist and you can catch up with Genesis, Exodus, and Leviticus. And now we're in Numbers, doing 10 and 11. We get about 5 minutes to let everybody get on. Already got one cigar going, got my coffee, my cafe con leche. And we get going. We're going to get into this one. Chapter 10 is one of those chapters that I cannot stand, whereas chapters 11, we get some good stuff going. That video was crazy. 2.1 meters. Damn. Okay. Grand Rising Renee, Grand Rising Yemi. Diego Sanchez. What video are you talking about? .1 meters. I'm sorry, I don't know what you're talking about there. Let's see, we on the Mandingo. Oh. Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah. Think about it, Diego. I have been telling people about that. I've known about that since high school, and people refuse. I accept it. I tried to refute it, but yeah, that was some crazy stuff. Matter of fact, we might have a longer discussion on that one. Not today. A whole live dedicated to that discussion. Yeah, that big one. Thank you. That's how I get my inspiration from y'all, from the people. Hope everybody's having a great start of the week. That extra hour helped. I didn't see not one damn shooting star last night. And I didn't leave. I stayed home. I didn't see any shooting stars from the tourists last night. So I'm disappointed today. I'm upset about that. I wanted to see some shooting stars last night. Hopefully I get some. Maybe I see some tonight. But how's everybody? How's your week going? Please, I appreciate everybody who continues to share the channels, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube, and continue to subscribe to the channel. I appreciate that. The subscriptions have been going up steadily, and I'm very happy about that as we continue to grow the community. Get this thing, continue to make it bigger than we can, the biggest thing we can. Grand Rising Sheila, shalom. Just making sure everything is squared away. YouTube been tripping a little bit lately. See, they tripping right now. See, YouTube be tripping. YouTube be tripping. Still tripping. Look at you, YouTube. YouTube be trying not to let me do my edits on the back end edits. And then I wind up not getting credit for the live. Don't want to let my thumbnail be on there. But we had a great conversation yesterday. If you guys were here, where we talked about was Jesus black or not, and the ancient Israelites and what color were they, and how the Bible's not a book out of Africa. Of course, for the first hour, we stayed on subject, but then after that, we veered way off subject. But it was a great conversation yesterday. I really appreciated the conversation. Had a good time. I hope you guys had a good time. You know, even those who were adversarial said they had a good time. So I'm glad that we were able to do that. So now we are over 5 minutes into it. Grand Rising Bing Love, Sheila. Oh, I call her Sheila earlier. All right, so what's wrong with the Bible? Numbers 10 and 11. Let me bring it back up. Because we read this word for word. Word for word. This all started if you're ever wondering how, with me being a smart ass. A bit of assholery, I should say. Because people are like, oh, you don't know the Bible, you need to read it. Okay, well, let's read it and see what it says. And so we started. I thought it would be okay, we'll probably just go through Genesis, but here we are at Numbers. I thought Genesis would be enough, but we're here at Numbers. Some of these chapters have been boring. 10 is going to be boring to a certain extent, but I want y'all to hold on for 11. 11, we get into some good stuff. So don't fret about 10 being boring. Grand Rising Brian W. All right, Grand Rising Jose. So 10 gonna be boring, but 11 gonna be exciting. I promise y'all. So hang around. So here we go. Numbers chapter 10. The Lord said to Moses, make 2 trumpets of hammered silver and use them for calling the community together and for having the camp set out. When both are sounded, the whole community is to assemble before you at the entrance of the tent of meetings. If only one is sounded, the leaders, the heads of the clans of Israel, are to assemble before you. When a trumpet blast is sounded, the tribes camping in the east shall set out. At the sound of the second blast, the camps on the south are to set out. The blast will be a signal for setting out. To gather the assembly, blow the trumpets, but not with the signal for setting out. You know, they got to write this stuff so they can pad the runtime. It's not like this is vital. This is how military encampments moved for thousands of years by using trumpet blasts or drums later on. But got to fill the runtime. The sons of Aaron, the priests are to blow the trumpets. Got to get that nepotism. Got to make sure Aaron's kids and Aaron them is in charge of everything. We've seen that a lot in going through this book. This is to be the last. Now pay attention to this part. This is to sound like a preacher. Watch this. This is to be a lasting ordinance for you and the generations to come. How many times have we read where Aaron and the priests in Leviticus and in Exodus, Leviticus, and now in Numbers, where there is something that is supposed to be a lasting ordinance that's supposed to be perpetual. But we know not even the people who claim Judaism still do this and still maintain these things that they're saying is supposed to be this lasting ordinance for generations to come. I appreciate that, Philip, Grand Rising. So, Philip, on Tuesday, we do What's Wrong with the Bible. We read through 2 chapters, and we started at Genesis, and now we're in Numbers 10. So, continue. So, we see that that every time this book says that there is something perpetual that's supposed to be continuous, and with Aaron and his sons, we know it's nepotism. We know that this is written during the time frame from Hezekiah on through Ezra. So, the priesthood is writing this, and they're writing it in their favor. And they keep saying perpetual to try to maintain that, but we know that didn't happen. They don't maintain these things in perpetuity. So when you go into battle in your own land against an enemy who is oppressing you, sound the blast on the trumpets. Then you will be remembered by the Lord your God and rescued from your enemies. Now we know that as we get through this book into once they get into the promised land and all that kind of stuff, we know that historically Israel has, for the most part, been a vassal state up until you get to 1940s, right? But prior to that, there was vassals of everybody else. They never controlled their own destiny. Well, I can not say never. They had very short periods where they were independent, like right after the Bronze Age collapse, independence. But soon after the Bronze Age collapse, they wind up being under the Assyrians and under then the Babylonians and the Persians and the Greeks, then the Romans, and then the Ottomans and so on and so forth. So they must not have been blowing them trumpets if this is supposed to happen, because this God is supposed to rescue them from their enemies. So what happened? What happened with the trumpets? I'm just saying. I needs to know. And especially at the time frame that this is written, it starts at the point of the Assyrians when this is actually written down. So you're Hezekiah trying to tell your people about this. You fall under the Assyrians, and then you fall under the Babylonians, and then you fall under the Persians and Greeks and Romans and so on and so forth. I ain't hearing no trumpets being sound. That must be the problem. Maybe the trumpet blowers wasn't there. Or it wasn't Aaron's kids blowing the trumpets. Grand Rising Ivory and Nick. So they obviously weren't blowing the trumpets, or this God is just not showing up because it's not real. So rescue you from your enemies. Also, at your times of rejoicing, your appointed festivals and moon feasts, so they're supposed to blow the trumpets then, you are to sound the trumpets over your burnt offerings and fellowship offerings, and they will be a memorial for you before your God. I am the Lord your God. So that's something that they're supposed to still do. And I've been to some Jewish services where they do that, but they haven't won. They haven't owned their own country till the 1940s. I wonder if they sounded the trumpets before they attacked Palestine. That'd be interesting to know. All right. On the 20th day of the second month of the second year, the cloud lifted from above the tabernacle of the covenant law. So if you remember in the previous chapter last week, we went over how they are to follow that this God is living in a cloud, and it got fire red and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of like a Harrier jet, that can just lift up and hover and got all the smoke and everything coming out of it. So this deity is just moving and they're following the deity. And then once it comes down, then they build the tent of meetings again, and it lives in the tent of meetings, and then it decides to leave and they have to follow it. So wherever this God goes in his cloud ship, they are following that cloud ship. Okay, so above the tabernacle and the covenant law. Then the Israelites set out from the desert of Sinai and traveled from place to place until the cloud came to rest in the desert of Paran. They set out for the first time at the Lord's command through Moses. Grand Rising Debbie. The divisions of the camp of Judah went first under their standard. Nahshon, son of Amminadab, was in command. Nathaniel, son of Zurar, was over the divisions of the tribe of Issachar. And Eliab, son of Helon, was over the division of the tribe of Zebulun. Then the tabernacle was taken down, and the Gershonites and the Merarites who carried it set out. Yeah, they have a feast of trumpet. Okay. The divisions, this is the boring parts. The divisions of the camp of Reuben went next under their standard. Eliezer, son of Shedeur, was in command. Shelumiel, son of Shaddai, was over the division of the tribe of Simeon, and Eliphaz, son of, it is not Eliphaz, no, Eliphaz, son of Duel, was over the tribe of Gad. Then the Kohathites set out, carrying the holy things. The tabernacle was to be set up before they arrived. But they got to make sure they get there and set it all up. So this is organization. Today's Tuesday, isn't it? Oh, I forgot to take the trash to the street. All right, so y'all got to hold on for a second. I forgot to take the trash to the street. But let me see. Is that the trash or is that the recycled trash? I can't tell. Yeah. Oh, that's the recycled bag. So I got a minute. That's the recycled. So they just grabbing the blues, right? Okay. That's the recycle, guys. But let me take this out just to make sure. I'll be right back. My apologies. I knew it was something I was forgetting this moment. Got one job. Ooh, it's nice out there. I should have did this outside. We should have been in the backyard, y'all. Oh shit. It's nice. Nice and warm. It's nice and warm out there. Nice temperate. All right, sorry about that. What happened? Grand Rising Lumi. Nikki, how you doing? Larry. Jose. Charlie Wilson. Grand Rising LaQuinn. Sorry about that. I completely forgot about taking the trash. Where were we? So we're in this boring part where they are setting out. So you got to make sure that the tabernacle is set up before the Kohathites arrive. Trust me, 11 is going to be much better. The divisions of the camp of Ephraim went up next under their standard. Elishama, son of Aminahud, was in command. Gamaliel, son of Pedahzur, was over the division of the tribes of Manasseh. And Abidan, son of Gideoni, was over the divisions of the tribe of Benjamin. Finally, the rear guard of all the units, the divisions of the camp of Dan, set out under their standard. Ahiezer, son of Amishashada, Shaddai, was in command. Pagiel, son of Okran, was over the division of the tribe of Asher, and Ahira, son of Enan, was over the division of the tribe of Naphtali. This was the order of march for the Israelite divisions as they set out. Before I get to that part, so we are about to have a little bit of an interesting part. Let me see what anybody was saying. Feels like flu weather today. Feels great out there. I have your new follower here. Thank you, Arthur. Appreciate it. I'm glad to find people who embody the same beliefs as I do, particularly spirituality, direct relationship between me and the harmonic divine energy vibration. Continues to awaken people in chaos full of hatred, killings, and injustice. Cheers from Canada. Appreciate that, Arthur. From Canada. Yes, we are worldwide. The origins of settlements around the present day Oman, Yemen, and Uzbekistan. What are y'all talking about? Furniture about to start floating and sound like you reading a spell. It might start. It might start. It might start. So most people are gonna read this next part, and your mind should click, but because there's distance between the readings, your mind won't click. Some people's mind won't click. Now Moses said to Hobab, son of Ruel, the Mennonite, Moses' father-in-law. Moses said to Hobab, we're in Numbers chapter 10. Moses said to Hobab, son of Ruel, the Midianite, Moses' father-in-law. Waiting to see if y'all, we done been through this once already, but I just want to see if you catch on. This is why people sometimes don't catch the contradictions in this book, even the more minor ones. But if it's supposed to be the perfect, inerrant word of God, there should not even be minor mistakes. So Moses, Grand Rising Brett, we got a beautiful weather here today in Georgia. Brett, probably not as good as St. Kitts, but so, with your little beautiful beaches. The ocean water is glittering here. I can't stand Brett. Y'all know that. I can't stand him. Grand Rising Roderick. So, even though we saw this in Leviticus, who is Jethro's father-in-law? We saw this in Exodus. In Exodus, who's Jethro? Who is Moses' father-in-law? Oh, I'm sure it's nice weather in Texas. Can anybody tell me Moses' father-in-law what his name is? What his name is? What his name is? Now Moses said to Hobab, son of Ruel, the Midianite, Moses' father-in-law. Let me say she doesn't know. Y'all seen The Prince of Egypt? That's one of my son's favorite movies. Not because he believes in the Bible, he just loves that movie. Alhamdulillah. You remember the song? When he was singing? Look at your life through heaven's eyes. His name was Jethro. Y'all remember that? I always teach you that. Moses' father-in-law, his wife, daddy, name was Jethro. He's a Midianite priest. Jose got it. Right? But then when we were in Exodus, when Moses meets his wife, he is with her daddy. His name is Jethro. They get married. And Jethro is with him through all of this. When he's going through Exodus, when they leave Egypt, he's with them. Said hillbilly. We saw in Leviticus that all of a sudden it says that his father-in-law was Ruel, the Midianite. What's his name? Is it Jethro or is it Ruel? There's no part in it where it says his name is Jethro Ruel. But it consistently changes this man's name. So Moses talking to his brother-in-law. I'm going to say that this is his brother-in-law, although there are some that are saying that Hobab is his father-in-law. That the way that this should be read, that Hobab is Moses' father-in-law. Hobab can't be his father-in-law. If it's Hobab, that makes it even worse. But the way it reads here, Hobab, son of Ruel, the Midianite, Moses' father-in-law, saying that Ruel is his father-in-law and Hobab is his son, which makes him his brother-in-law. But if there's one mistake in this Bible, then it's not that it's inerrant. The book is inerrant. The book is errant, not inerrant. The book isn't inerrant. It is errant. That's about the most exciting thing in this chapter. I can't wait to get to the next chapter. The next chapter gets so much better. It's trying to say that Ruel and Jethro are the same person. You can try that. That can be an excuse, but you're adding confusion by changing the name. But it's a contradiction, no matter how you slice it. Yeah, they had a whole lot of incest. Oof. It's just nasty. I hope they don't still practice incest. That is a horrible, horrible thing. There's no way. There are some things that other cultures do that I'm like, you know what? That's their culture. That's one of them that, no. There's absolutely no proof that he had more than one name. And here's the thing. Most of these people in this book and most of the people at that time did not have more than one name. The Hebrew culture, the Israelite culture, your name was, Hobab, son of Ruel. Hobab doesn't have a last name. He doesn't have a middle name. Middle names are new. That's new stuff. And so it wouldn't have been that way. You wouldn't have two different names. You got one name. You got your mama named Jethro, your daddy named Jethro, your name Jethro. Your name ain't Jethro Ruel, the Midianite priest. Your name is just Jethro. But it changes the name. We can't think about it how we do things. We have to think about it how they did things. All right. I don't know how the Hebrew word for Jethro, but it translates into English as Jethro, modern day English. So continue so we can get to the good part. But like I said, that's about the most. Okay. The Midianite's farmer. He said, we are setting out for the place about which the Lord said, I will give it to you. What the Lord said, I will give it to you. Come with us and we will treat you well, for the Lord has promised good things to Israel. He answered, no, I will not go. I am going back to my own land and my own people. So Jethro, Ruel, Hobab, son of Ruel, this is why people think that Hobab, that he's saying that Hobab, Jethro, Ruel, all is the same person, which is a contradiction of names, because we know that Jethro came out. But Jethro could have had his son. He had some other sons and son-in-laws as well. He had multiple daughters, so he didn't just have one son-in-law. He would have others. Right? So he's saying, so Hobab wants to leave. He says, no, I will not go. I'm going back to my own land, my own people. But Moses said, please do not leave us. You know where we should camp in the wilderness, and you can be our eyes. If you come with us, we will share with you whatever good things the Lord gives us. Now it's interesting. So they do this now, but in a few books, the Israelites are going to utterly destroy according to this book, going to destroy the Moabite people. Now, for the Midianites are the priesthood of the Moabite people. So y'all, we friends today, enemies tomorrow, right? It's pretty much that's the setup. That's the setup. So they set out from the mountain of the Lord, traveling for 3 days. The ark of the covenant of the Lord went before them during those 3 days to find them a place to rest. The cloud of the Lord set over them by day when they set out for camp, because they're following the God spaceship. When the ark set out, Moses said, "Rise up, Lord. May your enemies be scattered. May your foes flee before you." Some good brown nosing. Whenever it came to rest, he said, "Return, Lord, to the countless thousands of Israel." That's some good brown nosing. Thankfully, that chapter is over, and it's time to move to an more exciting chapter in chapter 11, where we're going to see this deity do some serious assholery. Some serious assholery. Grand Rising, Ron. I see we in the wilderness today. Yep, Grand Rising, Brian. Yes, we are in Numbers 10 and 11. Now it's time for number 11, where we're finally going to get to move and get some more story. Where the Lord is going to show how asshole he is and why we walk away from this book. Now the people complained about their hardships in the hearing of the Lord, and when he heard them, he was angered. His anger was aroused. Right. So here's a guy that's being directed by his emotions. Then fire from the Lord burned among them and consumed some of the outskirts of the camp. When the people cried out to Moses, he prayed to the Lord, and the fire died down. So that place was called Tebaran, because fire from the Lord had burned among them. Now, this is meaning a literal fire. Honestly, I think that they were just walking around in the wilderness. Somebody in the outskirts of the camp, they tired. We're going to see here that they're tired, they're hungry, because they're already complaining about their hardship. He went to sleep and left a candle burning, and it started a fire amongst their tents. And they thought and blamed it on God and said, "Oh, God must be mad at us because the tents are burning on fire." And Moses prayed, but the people put out the fire, had a fire break. But of course, we know back in these days, people thought everything that happened was because of their God. But so that the story can happen, their God did this. He was mad at them because they complained. So you cannot complain to this God about your hardship, because you're going through that hardship. What they teach you now in church? Somebody flicked their cigar, probably. Didn't make sure it had burned out. What they tell you in church? Don't complain about how your life is going. God is sending you through something. What they tell the slaves, don't complain about what's going on in your life. This is God's will. This hardship is God's will. Remember, he took them out of Egypt. But let's see what this God does. That's part one of the assholery. There's more parts to it in this one. Whatever makes you suffer makes you stronger. Yeah, that kind of bullshit. Right? I can go my whole life without suffering. I take that and I still be strong. So, and this God is about to Brewster million these people. Hey, Grand Rising Denise. He about to Brewster million these people. The rabble with them began to crave other food. And again, the Israelites started wailing and said, "If only we had meat to eat." I mean, we got all these cattle and stuff. We got all these sheep. We got all these goats that we took out of Egypt. But we keep having, because earlier they kept sacrificing all these animals. We got all these other meats and stuff. But they saying that if only we had meat to eat. What the hell? Now, this passage, this chapter is used to teach and in churches about how the Israelites didn't have faith in this deity. They didn't have faith in God, and so they're complaining. And you're gonna hear that they're gonna because it says the next part says, "We remember the fish we ate in Egypt at no cost. It was the cost of your slavery, fool," according to this book. Also, the cucumbers, the melons, the leeks, the onions, the garlic. But now we have lost our appetite. We never see anything but this manna. So they say that the people were faithless, and that's why this God punishes them. And they can't explain why they didn't eat any of the meat that they brought with them, why they didn't eat any of the cattle. Some try to say that they didn't eat the cattle because this was their money, because they were herdsmen. What they in the middle of the wilderness? What they need money for? What they need money for? Others were saying that because they were so ingrained in the Egyptian religion, and since the cow was venerated, that they wouldn't slaughter the calf and eat the cow. But they had goats, they had sheep, they had other forms of meat. So that part makes no sense of them saying this. This is written in this book just so this God can do some evil shit. Okay? Just so he can do some evil shit. That's the only reason this is in here. And this wasn't written by an eyewitness. And you're gonna see how extravagant and legendized this is. So they complaining, and because all they have is this manna. All right, I eat steak every night with some herbs too, and they lying. Now, of course, manna has been romanticized in today's. You got songs talking about some manna from heaven, and that's the Lord's manna, right? I don't think most people realize what manna is. It's gonna give a description of manna here, but before I give that description and read that part, most archaeologists believe, because we don't fully know, that manna was the excrements of insects that lived in the desert, and it comes in these little white balls. And they would gather all these little white balls up, little white balls. They would gather them up and crush it. Well, they're going to talk about how they crush it. But it was insect poop. And that's manna that they would make into some bread. So let's see their description. Manna was like a coriander seed that looked like resin. The people went around gathering it and then grounded it in a hand mill or crushed it in a mortar. They cooked it in a pot or made it into loaves, and it tastes like something made with olive oil. When the dew settled on the kelp at night, the manna also came down. So this insect poop. That's what nobody fully knows, but that's what most archaeologists believe that it is, and it is the most likely thing. So they crushing it and they making some bread, and it tastes like some oily bread, some olive oil bread. They eating dookie. Oh, this ain't the only other time. Later on in this book, he tells Joker they're gonna be eating. They gotta cook. When we talked about it, we talked about it already, I think. And one of the little curses or things he was mad where they had to cook their food by using shit. And the fecal matter gonna rise into whatever you're cooking. So they're complaining about the manna. I would too. This is, if all you're eating is manna, you got all these livestock. I'm complaining about the damn manna myself. And they frown on you when you do blood magic. They shouldn't. There's plenty of blood magic in this book with all the animal sacrifices. So to continue, because we're getting good here. where did all this stuff come from? Somebody didn't understand nature, so they made up some shit. Moses heard the people of every family wailing at the entrance of their tents. The Lord became exceedingly angry, and Moses was troubled. He asked the Lord, "Why have you brought this trouble on your servant? What have I done to displease you that you put the burden of all the people on me? Did I conceive all these people? Did I give them birth?" You see, Moses? Did I conceive all these people? Did I give them birth? Why do you tell me to carry them in my arms and nurses carry their infants to the land you promised them on oath to their ancestors? Where can I get meat for all these people? They keep wailing to me, "Give us meat to eat." I cannot carry all these people by myself. The burden is too heavy for me. If this is how you're going to treat me, please go ahead and kill me. If I ever found favor in your eyes, and do not let me face my own ruin. Moses gave a speech. Moses said, "I ain't about this. Look at him, I ain't about this bullshit. I ain't want to come here in the first place. I was minding my own damn business. You sent me to these people. Now you expect me to carry all their burdens, all this crying and whining. These jokers been crying since we left. Now you expect me to carry the burden. Oh, just kill me, folks. Just kill me. I'd rather you just kill me. Just kill me before I come to the room with these people." That's a good speech. Now, you know how they always tell you don't question God? Moses said, "I question his ass." Isn't it interesting how Moses and Abraham argue with this God? You know, as if they talking to their neighbor or talking to their boss or something like they at work. Jesus, will you cry like a bee? The stories that you talking about don't sound conscious. No, it is not good consciousness. So Moses, he complained, and he's rightfully so. Y'all got a bunch of animals around you. The people starving, people hungry, and you ain't. And this guy ain't doing his job. So, and he's angry because the people are complaining because they tired of eating bird shit or insect shit. So let's see what God has to say about it. The Lord says to Moses, "Hey, bring me 70 elders who are known to you as leaders and officials among the people. Have them come to the tent of meetings that they may stand there with you. I will come down and speak with you there." So he's going to come down, speak with you there. I thought ain't nobody seen this guy before, but we'll continue. "And I will take some of the power of the Spirit that I have on you and put it on them. They will share in the burden of the people, and I'm sharing the burden of the people with you, so that you will not have to carry it alone." Now we know earlier in Exodus, his father-in-law, Hobab Jethro Ruel, convinced him to, "Hey man, this is too much for you. Get some leadership," and the leaders would handle business. Now this God is pretty much saying the same thing. So they already done this. He's already have people in place who are supposed to be handling the issues. Because remember when he was, every time there was a crime, there was an issue, Moses had to sit there and be judging, stand over judgment of it. So then he created a judicial system and a leadership process. So that people are already supposed to be carrying this burden. But now this guy is saying that, we're going to get these 70 elders. And we know how this 70 elders carry forward. And you got the 70 elders who wrote the Septuagint and all that kind of stuff. So this number becomes significant to the Israelite people. But instead of fixing the problem, he's just saying, I'm just going to get some more people to carry the burden. I ain't going to fix it. We just going to get some more people to deal with this shit that can carry the weight of it all. Yeah, a lot like schizophrenia in that book. It is. My husband started, Angela, Grand Rising. I would love to order a hand-picked package from you. Please PM me with the price and details. Would like to do this for Christmas gift. All right, no problem. It's a story of slavery by communism. God killed in order to kill. So to colonizers, colonism of the God by colonizing. I'm with you. Stories of the conquerors, always. All right, let's continue. Because y'all ain't gonna get me sidetracked until we finish this part, this thing. So let's not fix it, but let's see how this guy does try to fix it. But first, we got to go on this side story, because we need, we got to fill the runtime. Tell the people, consecrate yourselves in preparation for tomorrow, when you will eat meat. The Lord said. The Lord heard the. Sorry, let me start over. Tell the people, consecrate yourselves in preparation for tomorrow, when you will eat meat. The Lord heard you when you wailed. If only we had meat to eat. We were better off in Egypt. Now the Lord will give you meat to eat, and you will eat it. You will not eat it for just one day. No. Or 2 days. No. Or 5 days. No. Or 10, or 20. But for a whole month, until it comes out of your nostrils and you loathe it, because you have rejected the Lord who is among you, and you have wailed before him, saying, why did we ever leave Egypt? You see how he went from, consecrate yourselves to preparation for tomorrow, because you're going to eat meat. I hear y'all wailing. I'm going to fix this. No, he's straight Brewster's Millions, this joker. These people. Oh, really? You want to complain? You want to go back to Egypt? Fine. You don't eat meat until it is coming out your nostrils. Do y'all know what I'm talking about Brewster's Millions? I know I keep showing my age with some of the movies that I refer to. But basically, in the movie Brewster's Millions, when Richard Pryor finds out he has this uncle that he never heard of, the uncle didn't want to just give him like $100 million because he would spend it all yet with Richard Pryor. So he tells him about the story, and people used to do this. How he wanted to smoke his dad called him smoking a cigarette. This is the dying uncle in the video, the dead uncle in the video. And he locked him underneath the sink with a carton of cigarettes and told him he can't come out until he smoked all of them. And so he never wanted a cigarette again. And the whole Brewster's Million thing is he had to spend $30 million in 30 days and not have any assets. So that he develops a hatred for money and therefore be able to control it. This is how your God, this God is, he's Brewster Million, these people. I'm gonna make y'all complain about meat. Okay, all right. I'm gonna make you hate meat by the time all y'all gonna be vegetarians by the time I'm done with y'all. That's your favorite comedian. Yeah, he does have mental issues, Brian. One like so-called children of damn. Yeah. So they were the ones eating some doo-doo, some insect doo-doo. Now I'm gonna give you some meat. Your dad did that to your brother, and he is overly emotional. But this is why people think this way, to do this to children. Okay, I'm gonna make you sick of this. My grandfather, I'm gonna tell a family story real quick. So every Saturday, my grandmother would make the huge Sunday dinner, right? And it would be that, the trough was this big, but the mountain of chicken went like that with aluminum foil over. So my brother used to love fried chicken skin. I've already said used to love, so I told the story already. But he used to love fried chicken skin. So my brother didn't have to go to church. Well, this is at the time frame where all of us were released from church if we didn't want to go. So me and my brother didn't go to church. I wasn't there. But my brother decides that he's going to open the chicken and start eating the skins from the chicken. He did about 20 of them. My grandfather gets home before everybody get back from church and catches my brother eating just the skins. So all those 20 pieces of chicken that he had eaten the skins from, my grandfather made David start eating all that chicken. By the time everybody gets home, and I was there at that time frame, this joker and I ate about 12 pieces of chicken. He crying. I don't want no more. He going in. And of course, my grandmother comes in and she's like, stop, stop. Because it ain't about the punishment for her. It's about like, I done made all this chicken and we, it's about 20 of us here. So, my brother, he was about 14, 15 years old by then. Yeah, about 14, 15. I think he was in his early 50s. He's like 55 now, but he was maybe 51 when he finally ate a piece of fried chicken. So from like 15 to 51, he would not eat fried chicken. He couldn't stand fried chicken. And my grandfather probably got that mentality from bullshit like this. Cartman did that on the episode of South Park. But this is where, and we do these things to people because of this book, which this deity is justified because people don't question this God. I'm thankful to be around y'all, to be around people who question this God. You know what? I'm gonna call my brother and remind him of that again. Remember Granddad did that to you? So let's continue. So God is he acting like an old punk. But Moses said, here I am amongst 600,000 men on foot, and you say I will give them meat to eat for a whole month? Would they have enough if flocks and herds were slaughtered for them? Would they have enough if all the fish in the sea were caught for them? Moses is bold, y'all. He like, what? You gonna give them enough meat to eat? Come on, dude. For real? We ain't got enough flocks. There ain't enough fish in the sea to feed 600,000 men for a month that they get to eat meat. Even Moses is like, what? And there are some Christians who will say that Moses was that way because they wanted to show how Jesus was more elevated, because he fed 6,000 people with a 2-piece fish sandwich, right? Because Moses is talking about all the fish, there ain't enough because he didn't have enough faith himself in this God. But Moses and God in this story are about to get into a pissing contest. Right. The Lord said to Moses, is the Lord's arm too short? Now you will see whether or not what I say will come true for you. Lord's like, they got an arm measuring contest. It's 2 men having an arm measuring contest. Grand Rising, Miss Mashi, if I'm saying that right, Mashi, from the UK. All right, we got a few UK people who come on the channel. Yep, we're gonna go with them lives. Grand Rising Margarita. All right, so this guy, is my arm too short? I'm gonna start using that one. Anytime Angelina said, you gonna be able to do that? I'm like, is Ren's arms too short? Now you will see whether or not what I say will come true. So Moses went out and told the people what the Lord had said. He brought together 70 elders. Now he went out and told them what the Lord said. Now, if he told them that I'm gonna give you enough, because y'all whining, I'm gonna give y'all enough meat to eat for a month until it falls out your nostrils, people probably took that as, he's gonna give us such an abundance that we're just gonna have so much meat that it's just gonna be like, oh, this is great. So they probably didn't think that this was going to turn out bad for them, but because they just, if you're out there and you're hungry and you're out there hungry and starving and you're just eating insect shit that you crushed into bread, you probably think this is a good thing because you just, your mind ain't working right. You ain't thinking about what this dude is saying. But let's go into a side journey so we can pad the runtime. So Moses went out and told the people what the Lord had said. He brought together 70 of their elders and had them stand around the tent. Then the Lord came down in the cloud and spoke with the people. And he took some of the power of the Spirit that was on him and put it on the 70 elders. When the Spirit rested on them, they prophesied, but did not do so again. So now in this instance, when it's talking about prophesizing, it's not as if they're saying this is what's going to come, that's what's going to come. It's kind of like the Holy Ghost when people go into the, the Holy Ghost thing. All right. Right. This is what they're indicating here. Well, they do say he went against nature, but is it against nature? There are levels of death that we don't understand right now. If you can control your vibration, then you can walk on water, but it's just beyond our concepts right now. So is anything supernatural? No, it's just super beyond our perception of nature. But if we have a true perspective of the universe, there is nothing that is impossible, right? All things are possible. So converting water into wine will be simply if you could understand the molecular structure of water and the molecular structure of wine and be able to change the molecular structure of the water into so that it is the one of wine, then is that an impossibility? You know, when I'm burning this cigar, the heat is changing the molecular structure of the tobacco into smoke and other things. So it's a process. It's just a process we don't know how to do yet, because we're often trapped by how we have to force reality to be. If we can open our minds beyond what we can see, touch, feel, smell, what we've been conditioned, what we can taste, then all things are all probabilities are reality. Oh, ooh. Lucy. In the movie Lucy, when she's sitting there with Morgan Freeman, she explains that very thing. That if we stop seeing things in their finite, then we can see things we can see how things are truly infinite. When she takes the pen and she says that for us, 1 + 1 = 2, but in reality, 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2. It equals infinity. And then she makes the pen like do this funky thing and all that. And she says that the only real thing, the only real thing of existence is time. Without time, we wouldn't know existence. We don't know existence by the walls that we're surrounded by. But I know I'm going on a sidetrack now. Now I'm padding around the runtime, right? But y'all started it. I'm being facetious. I'm aware it's an allegory. Yeah, but they thought that this was real. This is like the real deal. This literally happened. And even time is only measured by the physical matter that's around you. If you was on another planet, time will be measured completely different. All right, but we got to continue because I'm padding the runtime, but the Bible is going to pad its runtime. So let me get back to its padding. Where the hell was I? Moses went and told people. There you go, telling people. Okay, and they did not do so again. However, 2 men whose name was Eldad and Medad had remained in the camp. They were listed among the elders, but did not go to the tent. Yet the Spirit also rested on them, and they prophesied in the camp. The young man ran and told Moses, Eldad and Medad are prophesying in the camp. So we got a snitch, y'all. Oh, Moses. Eldad and Medad, they didn't show up at the tent like they were supposed to, but they promised on the elders, but they ain't prophesied in the tent. So they in the tent. I was like, the Lord, Spirit of the Lord is wrong. Joshua, son of Nun, who had been Moses' aide since youth, spoke up and said, Moses, my Lord, stop them. But Moses replied, are you jealous for my sake? I wish that all the Lord's people were prophets, and that the Lord would put his Spirit on them. Then Moses and the elders of Israel returned to the camp. So we had to go on that little side journey about some people prophesizing in the tent, which really didn't have much to do with the story at all, because we were talking about eating some meat. But we got to share some burden. Now, this is the last part of this one. Now the wind came out from the Lord and drove quail in from the sea. It scattered them up to 2 cubits deep around the camp, as far as a day's walk in any direction. All that day and night and all the next day, the people went out and gathered quail. No one gathered less than 10 homers. No one gathered less. So some people gathered more than 10 homers, but no one gathered less than 10 homers. Then they spread them out all around the camp. But while the meat was still between their teeth and before it could be consumed, the anger of the Lord burned against the people, and he struck them with a severe plague. Therefore, the place was named Kibroth Hatava, because they buried the people who had craved other foods. From Kibroth Hatava, the people traveled to Hazeroth and stayed there. All right, so the stuff, yeah. So Moses is like, look, I wish everybody had the Holy Spirit, and not just me, because I'm tired of this bullshit. But understand this. I want y'all to conceptualize this, the improbability and the craziness of this. He drove in quail 2 cubits deep around the camp. That's about a meter, about 3 feet, right? Because 1 meter is 3 feet, right? It's about 3 feet. So that's 3 feet of quail. And it went for a day's walk. So a day's walk of length of 3 feet of quail in any direction, in any radius of quail. And each person, the least anybody collected was 10 homers. So 10 homers is roughly about 1,900 quails, about 475 pounds of meat. 475 pounds of meat in bird. The lowest estimate that I saw was 1.14 billion quails. 1.14 billion quails. So this book want me to believe that in this land of the Levant, that this deity, oh shit, I was going to mark this part and then cut it and redo it, but I don't know how to mark it anyway. I'll just do it over. That this dude was able, he brought in 1.14 billion quail. Each man collected 1,900 birds at minimum. That means some people collected more. And they are going to eat and consume all this quail. You would think that some archaeologists somewhere, they've been digging something and they naming the places, that there would be a big ass quail bone deposit somewhere. They would have found it. And we're talking about a day's walk in any direction. So that's a lot of space to be able to say, to dig, and you should find it. It's, you know, the Levant is a good size, but it ain't that damn big. You know, Israel is not that big. You know, but all of this is supposed to happen around the Sinai Peninsula, right? So, and that's not that big. So where are all these damn quail bones? I know the overwhelming majority of them would have just withered away into the dust, but there still should be some artifacts of this. Should be some petrified quail guts. Right. The quail guts should all have been thrown in the same place, and with the weather conditionings, the dry weather conditions there should be some type of fossilized quail guts and quail bones all over the place, all over in some large space. If an archaeologist ever watch this, I want one of the young Christian archaeologists to go find this. I'm surprised Ron Wyatt and claimed that he found it. Because if you could find this, that would lend some credibility to their story, right? Considering that this has been telephone game told for about 500 years, roughly no more than 500 years, until it was actually written down. And then once it was written down, this story has been told. So come on. What bones? Those we should be. That's something you should find. I'm sorry. But I didn't look this up. What is the quail population in the world? So Partners in Flight estimate that there are 5.1 million quails in the world right now. Another site, Project Upland, 4.8 million birds. Oh, but that's just in the United States. So let's give me United States numbers. So they had at least 1.14 trillion quail. Trillion. Was that what the number? Yeah, it was trillion. It wasn't billion. It was trillion. When I was researching this. How in the hell? Because of each man, let me make sure. Because I know it's trillion. Where's math don't lie unless you in the movie. So 1,900 times 600,000. But they only count the men. They don't count your women. Yep, 1.14 trillion quail. Ain't me. That's what math says. Let me see. I know I've been talking. It never happened. Yeah, this never happened. The council had to send our minds on the stupidity of these stories. No one ever questioned the Council of Nicaea because they would kill you. The planet is destroyed. Actually, he was not a puppet. He was anti-establishment and paid a heavy price in his career for speaking out against the corruption and distortion of the religion and the politics. He was a real one. Who y'all talking about was a real one? Unless you're talking about Arius. It's crazy you bring that up. So where are all the bones in the tombs and all the people that died in the wilderness? Right. They're telling you where they're buried. So why aren't you finding any of them? Grand Rising Surin. Room full of madmen. Oh, yeah, talking about George Carlin. No, they didn't like George Carlin. So that is the reading for today of the 1.14 trillion quail that this guy killed just so that he can punish these people. Now, you had the people who were complaining about the meats. It wasn't everybody who was complaining about the meats. It was just some people complaining about the meats. But he sent the plague and punished all the people. It's kind of like growing up with that parent who says that if one child gets in trouble, then all y'all are in trouble. That, which is completely unfair. Because if I didn't do the crime, why am I doing the time? I ain't do the crime. I shouldn't be doing the time. You know, but I've seen people, I've known families that responded and reacted that way, where they would punish all the children for the mistake of one child because they were saying that you should have stopped them before they did whatever they did. Right. But so this guy punishes everybody. And then the fact of the matter is, this guy should understand that if your children of Israel, if they have been in Egypt for 437 years, because what is it, Acts, when it says that they were there for 400 years, which is slightly wrong, but it's still in contradiction and an error. But they have been there for 437 years. 200 and some odd number of those years was supposedly in slavery. They would have adapted a lot of the Egyptian mindset. So to be angry or upset with them because they are still craving some of those things and they are accustomed to those things. You were born and raised in this Egyptian slavery. So this guy doesn't have compassion or patience, which is supposed to be a hallmark of love, is to have compassion and patience. And then you remember all the love is and love is and love is. Yet this deity doesn't have any patience. Hey, I brought you out of Egypt. Love me now. Respect me now. Do what I say now. Don't complain about nothing that I take you through. Every time you complain, I'm going to punish you right off the bat. I can't talk to you about it. I can't say, oh, you know what? Y'all just been eating manna. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to get y'all a decent number of quails and spread so that y'all can always have quail to eat. You got some sheep and all that. I'm going to make your animals be fruitful, and you're going to have plenty of livestock that y'all can manage between your livestock to be able to make sure I get my sacrifice. But y'all got meat to eat. I'm not going to make you keep eating manna. We've been out here for a while now. I'm not going to make you keep eating manna. This guy, I would be that compassionate. You see, if I was this God at that time frame, I've been like, you know what? I know y'all are used to Egyptian stuff, and I'm going to make sure I'm going to overwhelm you with good shit. Right? I'm gonna make sure you got enough to eat. I'm gonna make sure you got some good weather. I'm gonna make sure that your sandals don't wear out. I'm gonna make sure. I think he does say something like that later on. But I'm gonna make sure that y'all are well taken care of while you're in the wilderness. That would be love of a good God. And every time y'all do something that's a little slight, I understand y'all was enslaved. So it's gonna take a time to get off that slave mind. It may take a generation or 2 generations or 3 to get y'all out of the slave mentality now that I've separated y'all. But no, the way I'm gonna get y'all out of this slave mentality is to treat you like slaves. That's the mentality of this deity. That's what it demonstrated in chapter 11 there, of how it handles it. Now, most of us all of us actually should be able to understand how that mentality can persist within a group of people, because look at how Black Americans are towards their former slave masters. Look at how Africans and Indians are towards their former colonizers. We still try to emulate them instead of going back to whatever it is our ancestors came from. Because effectively, this God is saying, I'm trying to take you back to your ancestral religion. I'm trying to take you back to your ancestral lands. But we didn't have that benefit, most of us. None of us in America, we didn't have that benefit. So we don't get it. Even the so-called five civilized tribes, they had to emulate the Europeans in order for them to come up, and they are still emulating them. Most of them have some of their ancestry going on as far as they dances, they powwows, and all that sort of thing. But they still are believing in the deity of the European because that's what they were taught. That's what they've been taught. Most of them are not on ancestral land, like the Seminoles are not. The Seminoles, the Creek, and all them out in Oklahoma and all that stuff. No, your ancestral land is back in Florida. back in Georgia, back in Alabama. So they're not in their ancestral land. Those people were never, they didn't get their separation. We did not get our separation. Even though Africans are getting their separation, but it's only, then they're on their lands. It is the land how it was drawn up from the conference in Belgium. So they're still not on truly on their ancestral lands. So you can understand, all of us would be able to have the compassion to understand what these people are going through mentally. But yet, the authority on morality in God, this God doesn't have enough patience and understanding and compassion to be able to give these people time to come out of their mental slavery and teach them how to come out of their mental slavery. Instead, he wants to send plagues and send fires and overstuff them with what they desire to the point where they don't hate it. They want to he want to Brewster's million these people. That's why we walk away from this God. That's why we leave this God. That's why this God is not a good God, but a horrible, horrible human being. And I know I've missed a lot of y'all comments. Meat ain't meat anymore. Right. If all them bloods would have flooded, and other cultures would have, if a 1.14 trillion quail came to this one area, other communities would have noticed it and would have written something down about the lack of quail. And these birds had to be pre-slaughtered, like this deity slaughtered them. Let me just get, I'm not going to try to catch up. Ain't no way. Everything is in there, they gave them the Bible and they gave it to us because they didn't have that. Yeah. Yeah. Anybody who follows, even the ones who are running some things, still follow this book and they are still in a state of mental slavery. All the governors, presidents, CEOs, they're all still in a state of mental slavery because they're following this book. Even the Europeans are messed up because they follow a religion belief that wasn't original to them, which is sad on its own. Yet they will wrap it up in a bow tie and sell it to the people for profit. Yeah, because Europeans aren't following their ancestral religions. They're not following the Norse religion or the Germanic religions or any of those. They've been forced to follow this religion. And all of it is man-made. The book is man-made. The ideology of it all is man-made, and it's based on the culture of their time frame. Yeah, it is. And you're right, right. The kingdom is within. It is not inside some book. That's the damn sure. It's not outside of you. It's within you. But people cannot fathom that because to them, they are going outside. They have to believe in something outside of themselves that's bigger than themselves in order to reach this heaven place, this Shangri-La. But out of this story, which I got to do a second little video about this story later on today, about this whole quail business, because it's utterly ridiculous. I got to eat some chocolate before my next cigar because it's a different type of cigar. Barbecue Smoke and chocolates. It's a great company. You should order from them. So what do you guys think about today about this? How many of y'all have read this story or have had this part preached to you? I didn't think about our governing officials even believing in this Bible. They do keep it. Oh, barbecue smoking chocolate. I think it's Barbecue Smoking Gourmet Chocolate is the name of the company. But he has a great company. The blueberry and the cherry, great. They're just downstairs. Otherwise, that's what I would have used for this cigar. I read that book and broke it down and did a lecture on it. Huh. Outstanding. What do you think about the the quail business? You think they follow ancestral culture in secret? Because they have the power, they unplug us from our power source through the Spanish Inquisition and colonization. I can understand that, but see, here's the thing. I think they just follow a more mystic version of Christianity. Or they are just enslaved to think that all the greatness that they've achieved, the power that they've achieved, I shouldn't say greatness, all the power that they achieved is due to their belief in this God, and not recognizing is actually due to their circumstances and themselves. So you never heard or read that part, and it sounds stupid to me. As it would have back then. Yeah. You won't hear this preached that often. And when it is preached, it's preached about or taught in a framework of the people not being faithful. And God, that's why this God punished them. So basically, if you're not faithful to God, he's going to punish you. Even in your hardship, you should be faithful to God to avoid his punishment. There is more in this book about avoiding his punishment than there is about just loving this deity. I said it is stupid. Very much so. It is a very dumbass story written by people to maintain control. Just want to maintain control over people. And we do. We got to have balance in our life. You're going to go through, and it's easy to utilize these kinds of stories because everybody, no matter what level you're at, you're going to go through some kind of hardship. At every level, there is hardship. And to avoid more pain from the hardship, you have to be obedient to this God. It says, saps you of common sense. You would have to believe this story, because here's the thing. Because we don't use we don't use those systems of measurement anymore, right? So when they say 10 homers, no person collected less than 10 homers, that it was 2 cubits deep in every direction a day's walk. In reality, most of us can't conceptualize that because most of us have never went a day's walk. We don't know what a day's walk looked like. We don't know what a day's walk feel like. I served in the military. If anybody has served in the military, they know, they kind of have a feeling of what a day's walk feels like, right? I think the longest I've marched in a day is 25 miles. Yeah, 25 miles. That's the longest I've ever done in a day, right? So let's just take my experience of one day, even though a day's walk for them wouldn't have been 25 miles. So let's not do that because that was the Volksmarch in Germany. And so in a normal setting, I think the longest I've ever went, and that's with a 50-pound pack and all your gear. I'm trying to think which time frame we would have been the longest. probably closer to about 10, 12 miles, right? So if you go 10, 12 miles in any direction, 3 feet high of dead quail packed in. Most of us can't, we can't see that. Just dead birds for 12 miles, 3 feet high, every direction. So people just read through this and skip through it. They don't, 10 homers, 1,900 birds. And that's the least that somebody collected. If we actually was able to conceptualize that, I think people would look at this book and like, what? That's crazy. Instead, they so sapped of their common sense, like I forgot who said it. Trauma said that their mind was like, oh, look at the power of the Lord. The power of the Lord. Up to it in a pinch. Just found out that dark chocolate drink, the coca drink. Well, if you like the chocolate, smoke, barbecue smoke gourmet chocolates, it's a great, great company that you can order from. Tell them Coach Renz. Well, if you order from them, well, he knows me as Renz. He knows me better as Smoking Phoenix, but Renz, my company is Smoking Phoenix. Sounds like a jealous husband and a very possessive father who drank too much and is now so sloppy with fear abandonment. Yeah, I'm convinced a brother from New York wrote the Bible back in 1912, sold it to a Chinese dude who traded it to a white guy for 7 legal girls. Dad, I'm not Brian, stupid. But yeah, I mean, it is this guy. He goes into anger fits. Oh, I hear the people crying and complaining. I'm gonna get mad and I'm gonna get angry. Oh, Moses, you got something to say. Now Moses was standing up to this dude, like, I didn't birth these jokers, these your people. You need to take care of them. Oh, okay, I'm gonna take care of them. All right. Burn their ass and I'm gonna give their ass a plague and overfeed them. Have you ever heard the verse about ostriches being bad parents? What verse is that? I've never heard that one. If I mention you, will I get a discount? No. I just want him. I just want him to know where it's coming from, where the support is coming from. What daddy you know want to listen to some whiny ass grown kids? It's different. Okay, so it's one thing to have to listen to some whiny ass grown kids if their whining is unjustified. But when I take, if I took you on a road trip, who said that? Brian. So Brian, if you took your kids on a road trip and y'all finna drive, is Brian W? Yeah, Brian W. You finna drive from Washington State to Miami, promised land. It's the dead of winter. It's January. It's cold as hell in Washington State. But you saying, kids, I'm gonna take y'all to the sun and the shine and the beach and the waters and the fruit is just all hanging on the trees. And you get in the car and you driving your kids, and they grown. And all you allow them to eat during the journey is some white bread. No, hell no. Let's make it some rye. And that's all they get. Rye bread and water. They are justified in their complaining. Very justified in their complaining. I would complain. I'm a grown ass 52-year-old man. And if I got in the car with you and we finna drive cross country like that, and that's all you giving me, actually, I'm about to tell you, man, take me back. These, at least in Washington State, I can go to a restaurant and get something to eat. But this punk guy ain't got that kind of mindset. All right, so what we talking about? Job. Givest thou the goodly, Job 39, 13 through 17. Givest thou the goodly wings until the peacocks, the wings of the feathers until the ostrich, which leaves her eggs in the earth and warm them in dust, and forgetteth that the foot may crush them, or that the wild beast may break them. She is hardened against her young ones, as through they were not hers. Her labor is in vain without fear, because God hath deprived her of wisdom, neither hath he imparted her understandings. Lamentations 4:3. Even the sea monsters draw out the beast. Basically sound like they didn't understand the nature of an ostrich, and so they saw the ostrich as a bad parent. But ostriches are actually very good parents. That's like them saying the sea turtle is a bad parent because it lays the eggs and then leaves. That's what they do. So this guy didn't understand nature, its own creation. It made it do that. I'm gonna remember that when we get to Job, if we make it to Job. We'll probably do Job, even if we don't do it in order. We'll do Job. Job is some bullshit. Like the dog, but I've been through too many instances where God intervened, no luck or chance. There is no such thing as luck or chance. There is just cause and effect. But what we call luck, chance, or miracles, or God's intervention, is causations that we just don't know. What's your experience? What's your experience, Jimmy, that says that? And grand rising to you, Jimmy. What's your experience that says that? Cold as fuck. They're actually very good. Oh, yeah, they're very good parents. How do you know it's God? Sorry, what's the topic for the live? Well, the topic was today is Tuesday, so we do What's Wrong with the Bible, and we read chapters 10 and 11. But you have to go back to the beginning to get it. 10 kind of boring, a few things there, but 11 is some good shit, good bullshit. Yeah, but they're just people out, and nothing against your experience, because I said so. I normally don't argue people's experience. Your experience is your experience, and if you put that experience towards this deity, that's your prerogative to do so. Now, you can't make statements like that and then expect people not to question it, though. I'm glad you put LOL on there. So you got a good mindset, good sense of humor about the thing. But the reason why I was asking, because more than likely, whatever you are saying is your experience of God intervention. I'm pretty sure that I know Muslims, Hindus, Buddhists, atheists, and any other form of belief of people that I know of personally that will have claimed the same thing of intervention in your life, but from their God, and had the exact same effect. Because if you had grown up Muslim, you would say that Allah did it. If you had grown up Hindu, you would say that Krishna or Kali or Brahma or somebody that they did it. You say you take me to the promised land of milk and honey and peanut butter, toast and cookies. Handle this bread and water for a minute and shut up. Making the kids act up. You're grown. You choose to come on this trip. I ain't telling you where stopping. Every other town for snacks. Grown. Stop. Okay, so let me put this very straightforward. Ain't nowhere in hell I'm going on a road trip with Brian Wilson. No. Energy does travel with you. I think you hit the nail on the head, actually. Basically, things outside of my control. Yeah, that's the thing. I met people who, oh, they got this check in the mail from them, and oh, I was broke and I was about to lose my car, or I had no way of paying my light bill, and then this check came in the mail from the mortgage company. Well, they have been overpaying your taxes or overpaying your insurance. Well, normally they don't overpay the insurance, but they've been overpaying your taxes, and so they by law have to give you a refund check. That's not a miracle from God. That is cause and effect. You just didn't have anything to do with it, and it just happened to occur at a time frame where you needed it, and whether there was an emergency or you just didn't budget your money right, you created the need. Like one way or another, the need was created, but it wasn't some mystical plan. Because more times than not, your lights just get cut off, or you get that eviction notice. Yeah. Two sides to every experience. Yeah, but when you've been trained to believe that some deity is doing something, anything that is outside of that you didn't create, you're gonna give it to that God, and then even the things that you create, oftentimes you'll give it over to that God. I'm like Snoop Dogg. First, I want to thank me for all my hard work. I want to thank me for all the years that I've spent studying. I want to thank me. When I get my VA paycheck, I don't be sitting up. I want to thank God for this VA paycheck. No, I want to thank me for serving in the military. I want to thank me for constantly doing the paperwork and going to the appointments to be able to get this check. I'm not thanking nobody but me for that. Well, now, Jeremy, we're just in our conversation. Now, there's a lot of there are differences other than the prophet, but the real difference is where you was born and the family you grew up in. That's the real difference. That is really the only difference. Your belief would be completely different if you were born into a different family or in a different country, or sometimes just in a different place, just a different period. It's wild how religion is the wolf in sheep's clothing, the many faces and names it can put on to infiltrate and abuse spirituality and physicality. Yeah. I mean, all these different religions have all their different teachings, writings. They all have their own salvations. One of the things that killed me with in the Christian world is they say, oh, but which religion had a prophet that died for your sins? Why is that the hallmark? In Islam, God just forgives you. I'd rather God just forgive me than to have a human sacrifice. But there's still salvation no matter how you slice it. You gain salvation in every religion. You can gain it by following whatever their tenets are. So one version of salvation is no greater than the other. It's just been romanticized by Christians as far as Jesus and then put up on a higher standard pedestal. Then they all have prophecies that they say are coming true. All of them prophecies have happened and coming true. Not just Christians, they all claim that. And so that doesn't make anybody else's prophecies any greater than the other person's prophecies. It's all vague ass prophecies that you can attach to everything. Nah, yeah, I ain't giving no ghost prophecy. Yeah, your geography, some areas that, yeah, like if you was born in West Virginia, you probably be holding some snakes. If you was born in Utah, you probably be Mormon. There is cause and effect, but some things can't be accounted for. Per se, a judge's ruling or a disease revealing itself or just a pure miracle. Hell, even finding money on the ground where at you were at your last still all falls under cause and effect. There is just causations that you don't know. A judge's ruling can be a judge could rule harshly because his wife divorced him or caught his wife cheating on him, or she caught her husband cheating on him that morning. So now she's at work and she's pissed off. So now she just handing shit out, right? A disease could just be when it was detected, when it manifested symptoms, but it's already been there. It's always been there. You just couldn't detect it before. But now you have a system or something that detects it. There are no pure miracles. Finding money on the ground, you happen to be there when somebody dropped it and the wind blew it here or there, or a car wind blew it and you just happened to come upon it. It's kind of like when I played golf and then I went a certain direction because I thought my ball went there. Well, because my ball went over there, and I find somebody else's ball that they lost. So now I got me another ball that I can lose in the woods or in the water. It's cause and effect. If that person didn't hit that ball and then couldn't find it, then that ball wouldn't have been there for me to find it. I put a 20 in my pocket one time, had my keys in my pocket, pulled my keys out, didn't realize that the 20 fell out. I left. Somebody came up on that 20. The causation of it was me putting the 20 in my wallet, in my pocket, and pulling my keys out and not realizing that I pulled it out. And then that person was like, oh, I had a blessing. I found God gave me $20 today. God gave you $20? I wasn't paying attention. All things have causations. Nothing happens without causation. Right. And that's how all of that came about. I can't see a reason for something. So let me put it on God. The volcano erupted. Oh, there's a God in the volcano. And he's angry because we didn't do such and such. We didn't respect him. No, it's called magma and tectonic plates. Yep, we're always looking outside of ourselves. E plus R equals O. I know you said what that was before, and then I changed it. What's that formula again? Learn it, know it, all forever in His glory, and save. It saves more men and women than any religion or divine relationship. Right, spell out the formula, Brian. If it's good, it's God. If it's bad, it's the devil. It's childish. Hell, depends, Trauma. Sometimes if it's bad, they say it's God, because God is putting you through a season. You're going through a season of financial hardship because, one, you ain't been managing your money right, and you ain't been coming to church, and you ain't been tithing. You know, it says that God will bless your tithing and make it run over, you know, unless you tithe. That's why you're going through this season. It was this pastor, and some of my friends, they fell for the bullshit. He had the women, the single women, coming to the church to pray for them to get a husband, right? And then, so one day, event plus reaction and response equals outcome. Oh yeah, and I just changed from a plus to a multiplier. Events times reaction or response equals the outcome, because your reaction and response is multiplied. But he had them. I wound up going over one of them house, and I was like, "What are you doing?" Because she was in the house, frantic, cleaning up. It was good because she needed to cleaning and organizing. And the pastor had told them that the reason why they hadn't got a woman I mean, a man is because God was taking them through that they got to go through a season of organizing and cleaning their house, because no man is going to come until God ain't gonna send them a man if they are if their house ain't clean and organized. And these two jokers, every day after work, they cleaning and organizing, cleaning and organizing, cleaning and organizing, cleaning and organizing. Kept cleaning, kept organizing, kept cleaning, kept organizing. That was around 2009. And neither one of them got a man to this day. Right now. Yep, it's a test. Was that shit that happened to Job good? Hell no. That Job story is one of the most messed up stories. It's up there in messed up ass stories. It's one of those stories that was like, oh, this God is horrible. That's what they say, Ramsey. You know it. You're going through a season. You're just tracking and lazy. Too busy cleaning and organizing. Nah, he told them women they got to clean and organize, get their house ready for it. As soon as they house is clean and organized, that's when God gonna send them a man. Let me make a correction. One of them wound up getting married, and he turned out to be a pedophile. And then so she quickly divorced him. He didn't harm her child, but I didn't like him. Our other friend didn't like him. So we did a little research on him and found out that he had been in prison for pedophilia and straight snitched on him. God dang right. Snitched like a champ. So one of them did get a man who was a pedophile, but then got rid of him real quick. And because this dude had told him that, they got married. Like this dude just showed up. Like he just showed up and they were married. Like I ain't knowing nobody met him. It's like today, hey, how you doing? A week later, this is my husband. It's like, what the hell? Yep, that get your house in order. You can't judge. You're talking about I can't judge? Oh, I judge in a heartbeat. I judge in a heartbeat. There are some things you ain't ever coming back from. Rape, pedophile, you ain't ever coming back from that. Not with me. You can never gain trust. Ever. Yep, the story of Lot's daughter is jacked up. There's no more men on earth. They thought that there was no other men on the planet. 2 cities get destroyed, but technically 7 cities get destroyed. And all the men are dead. Nah, and then they go and get pregnant by their daddy. They get him drunk. And he knew after, okay, you can give Lot the first one. Got him drunk, then she took advantage of him. But the next day, you go for the same bullshit. Lot he been looking at his daughters anyway. He was already looking at his daughter, old pedophile. Oh no, it ain't. I don't think it was snitching at all. If I consider you my friend, I'm going to protect you as much as I possibly can. And her daughter and son, I adore them children, so I was definitely going to protect them. Oh, now the harshest person I judge is myself. The harshest person that I judge is me. But no, I'm judging the shit out of people. You always judging people. You judge people every day. You decide who you're going to be around, who you're not going to be around, who you like, who you don't like, who you trust, who you don't trust. You're constantly judging. I want to answer that one. What do you say? Mike L said, what are your thoughts when people tell you that you're taking the Bible literally and not spiritually? I tell them it depends on what part of the Bible we're talking about and who's the writer and when they were writing. The Old Testament was written by people who took the Old Testament literally. They meant these stories to be literal stories that happened in history. So I take it exactly however the authors supposedly took it. Things that are spiritual, they say are spiritual, but things that are literal, they believe literally happened. Like Jesus feeding 6,000 with a 2-piece fish sandwich is a literal story, right? It's supposed to have literally happened and it has spiritual implications to it, but it's still a literal story. I'm just not believing that it literally happened. So what I refuse to do is take the doctrine and doctrines and doctrines and doctrines that man has put on it, because every generation, the doctrine changes. Yep, some folks do need to go hang out with some other folks. What's the one thing? Lying on another race for your individual crimes, transgression amongst humanity. No, I can understand that one too. I'll give them human, just basic human love. That's about it. Like I don't want nothing to happen to them, but that's about it. Oh, because those type of people, yeah, they got people like Emmett Till killed. Yeah, it's kind of like I just saw this video where this woman had claimed this black man raped her, and then she went out and wrote a book and got another book turned into a movie, and then 16 years later they find out that the man was innocent, and she gonna give some PR level apology. If he don't get all her shit and sue the shit out of her, I want to go and slap that man if he don't sue that lady. But see, there ain't much spiritual in that book. To be honest, there's not a lot of spirituality in it, because most of what they're claiming is spirit, they're giving outside of themselves. There are very few things in there that are actually spiritual. Like when he said that the kingdom of heaven is at hand, that's spiritual. It's at hand. It's right now. It's all around you. It's inside of you. It is you. That's spiritual. Ain't much else. There's not much in there that's spiritual. You know, so I can't get, this is not really a spiritual book. It's a propaganda book to create a history for people and to create a docile version of Judaism. That's pretty much the conception. That's pretty much what that book is for. Revelation is pulling back the veil. You don't mean the book of Revelations, do you? Or you just mean what the word Revelations means? Not right now, Roger. Yeah, now those types of people who utilize race and the racism of a country in order to get something done or to do something to somebody, yeah, that's unforgivable. All right. There's nothing profound in the Bible. Is that a statement or a question? Um, the Bible borrows from others' profound statements and books. So there are, good quotes. You know, every husband should love his wife um, as much as he loves himself. For I knew not a man that hated his own flesh. It was that husband, love your wives as you love yourself. For I knew not a man that hated his own flesh. That is a very good statement, because it's saying, if it's pretty much, if you don't want, you wouldn't beat yourself, so don't beat your wife. You wouldn't starve yourself, so don't starve your wife. You wouldn't mutilate yourself, so don't mutilate your wife. You wouldn't take advantage of yourself, so don't take advantage of your wife. Um, those kinds of things, good to go. Wives, be silent, and for I suffer not a woman to usurp the authority of the man. But if you have any questions, ask your husbands at home. That's bullshit. That's some bullshit right now. What if your husband don't know the answer? What if your husband is an asshole? What if a whole bunch of people saying a bunch of shit is wrong? You better speak up. I don't, and all those things, all those ones that subjugate women, hell no. Our country is the only way to cripple the system. NASA is collecting melanin because AI cannot go within itself and have the ability to go deep within ourselves consciously. Now, I was with you, except for I don't know about that NASA collecting melanin thing. I've seen that on some conspiracy stuff, but I've never seen any evidence of that. The history of a certain group of people that somehow became a different people who now claim are superior to all other people. Let that sink in. That is some racist, evil stuff right there. It's the history of a group of people that became a different group of people who now claim to be superior. You're right. All is mind. All is mind. Everything is mental. So saith the Kabbalion. But yeah, you know, the book it conflicts with itself, and then what it does is and like any good thing would do, it throws in a couple of little good things that you can hang on to, and then surrounds it by a whole bunch of messed up stuff. It's like the opposite of rat poison. You know, rat poison is 90% cookie and sugar and 10% poison, but it kills the rat. This book is like 99% poison and 1% cookie. But instead of people realizing that the cookie is on the outside, I mean, the poison is on the outside, they take that 1% and make this very thin layer of cookie around this poison. So when they eat it, it tastes sweet to the tongue, and they don't realize that all they're doing is consuming poison, right? Because this book just poisons their mind. Now I've seen that melanin is $450 a gram. I've heard that. Where do you buy melanin? Where can you buy it? Where can you buy it? Mental. Okay. I see trees of greens and clouds of white. Pack the pipe and passed it to the right. What a wonderful world. What you know about Louis? Know nothing about Louis. What does that say for people like us that recognize the poison and stop taking the dosage? It says that our minds are acute to poison. That our consciousness sees beyond what their reality is. I'm going to use another movie as a way of describing it. And Angelina, I don't want to hear nothing about me using this movie as a reference. But in the movie Ratatouille, the primary rat, because I don't know his name, she does, his job in the colony was that he was the best poison sniffer. He could sniff out the poison. And he saved so many of their lives because he can sniff out that poison. Now, because he was this great sniffer, he also developed a sense of realizing the greater world around him and how better things can be combined to create new and exciting flavors. And he had a desire to be more than just a rat. And he became more than just a rat. He desired to be a chef, and he became this chef and all this stuff. So what that says about us, because we can sniff out the poison, it allows us to see the larger universe, the larger consciousness at play. Some are going to see it at larger levels than others, but it allows us at least to be able to see beyond all the bullshit and sniff out the poison, so that we can then create and manifest something greater and see what is greater than ourselves. We can think. That's a very quick to the point answer. Earth, Wind, and Fire. Man, that's yes, Remy. I knew you were gonna say something when I said something about your little favorite movie. Um, man, that's not Earth, Wind, and Fire for that song. That's Louis Armstrong. The mind is part of the body. Poison the mind and the body will reject it. And that rejection manifests through behavior and character traits. Mm-hmm. That leads to particular personality disorders. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing, poison that mind. And that's what most people walking around with poison all in their brain. They get melanin from the hair and other cells. I'm not up to speed on that kind of thing. Yeah. That's what we're here for, to learn from each other. Oh, you're saying there's multiple singers that have that message. Gotcha. I've been saying that, it's my guy, Louis. I love some jazz now, especially some big band jazz. Oh, my Uber. No, actually, I have the wonderful Angelina who has prepared lunch for me that is in the kitchen. But I wouldn't. She will do something like that, and without my knowing, set up an Uber Eats. So you just assume judging. Yep. What they say about assuming? Every time you assume, you make an ass out of you and me. Yep. I will make some assumptions, but I have no problems being corrected, sir. Now, how about them apples? You like apples? How about them apples? Yeah, when you try to talk to them, that's why I don't try to talk to them. It's funny. If you guys were around me, anytime somebody's like, "Oh, well, what are you doing?" I'll tell them, I say, "Well, now I'm semi-retired, still do a little cigar business, but I do a podcast." "Oh, what's your podcast about?" You don't want to know. I actually try to deter people, and then if they press, I'll say, "Let me ask you, what's your religion?" Because I don't want to offend you. And then then most of the time that settles them, and they're like, "Oh, well, I'm open-minded," and we wind up not telling. And then I find that most of them are curious. That video where me and the former pastor were talking, I didn't know he was a former pastor. That was my first time meeting that dude, right? And when we were just having conversation, we was actually talking about Marvel and comic books, because I know I'm a comic book nerd, but that joker is even bigger comic book nerd. And we were talking about Marvel and comic books, and I don't know how we got into the podcast thing. And we talked about VA and all that. But when we get to that part, I try to steer people away. I don't want you coming to my channel. Where does the urge for come when the search for the tree comes from with people like us? I have no idea. Some people might say that you just elevated your consciousness in a previous life, so that in this life you have that desire to elevate it some more. Oh, Roger just said it. It's a remembering. Yeah, could be from a previous life. I have no facts behind it, but a previous life. In my previous life, I would think that I must have been a person who questioned things, didn't accept things for what I saw or what I was taught. And now, just in this life, I've taken it to a whole nother level. And if I do have to come back to this one, which I'm trying not to, then ain't no telling. I really be questioning this shit. I'll be beyond what I am now. Like, I have no idea what led me to sitting and reading the encyclopedias over and over again when I was a kid, or going to the library, right, where other kids was at the playground. I mean, I went to the playground, but half my time was at the playground, half my time was at the library. No idea. But we just get led there. Just get led there. But yeah, we're gonna get ready to close out for today. Got some things to handle. Can't go 3 hours a day. If you come back here, you're gonna blame God. I would. I will blame you. I would too. But I got some things I need to handle today, so I'm gonna get to handling them. And so I'm gonna have to. I know sometimes we go 3 hours, but we went 2 hours, so we're gonna go. We're gonna count that as good. I appreciate you guys. Numbers 11 especially was whacked out. I'm going to do a whole separate video just for that one. See, that's what y'all be trying to do. Y'all be trying to throw some more questions out there when y'all know I'm getting ready to get off. See how Jose did that? If Eden was so perfect, why did the beast want to escape? See how you be trying to throw stuff? But I ain't even gonna deal with that. I'm gonna keep on moving because I got some things I need to take care of. All right. So, you know what? Batman can go. Batman get his ass whooped in the Marvel Universe. Come out with that Batman bullshit. Anyway, y'all have a great one. And I will see y'all tomorrow. I got a good subject for tomorrow. Well, it's a subject I want to talk about. I think it's a good subject. Shit. I'm supposed to entice you right now to come back tomorrow. I told Angelina, I said, don't let me forget that I want to talk about. Oh, you know when that stuff be like right at the tip of your brain? She'll be around 10:30. No, not talking about blunt wraps. Angelina, what is it that I asked you to remind me? Because I knew I was gonna forget. And I should have wrote it down, but I just got out the shower and everything. I want to just get under the covers. Oh gosh. I know what video to go look at to be able to bring it up, to remember it. But I wanted to tell y'all what it was. And I meant to ask Angela this morning, but I was groggy as hell this morning. Oh well, come back tomorrow. It's gonna be a great conversation. See you around 10:30 tomorrow. Trying to make go be consistent with our time here, so that it gives me more time to get other things done before Angelina gets home. So y'all have a great day, and I will see y'all tomorrow. And I will see you on some other videos that I'm going to shoot. Please continue to share the videos. Share the video. Share all the videos. Share the videos. Like and subscribe if you're liking the channel. You know, if you don't like the channel, but you are intrigued and you just keep on coming on here because you want to argue about the channel, like and at least do a subscribe to the damn thing or follow on Facebook. You know, don't be a hater. But yes, y'all come back here. Y'all come back here now. Y'all come back now. You hear? So I will see y'all tomorrow. Remember, always you got to free yourself to be yourself because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations.